Hello everyone. I'm a few minutes late today because anybody with cats knows that if you have a cat on your lap, the cat comes first, especially here at the office at TWS. So welcome to the weekly wrap up with me here, Tammy, and Emery. I have Emery, one of the office kitties here. But really excited to share today's weekly wrap up with you. I have a lot of animal updates, kind of some vet updates, and so excited about that. I first want to thank everybody who's contributed to Miracle Match so far. We have so many worthy projects to fund for the cats, and your gifts are truly helping. And now more than ever, your gifts are doubled, and that's awesome. Part of our 25th anniversary is not only Miracle Match, but kind of celebrating all of the lives we've rescued over 25 years. So I hope you're enjoying seeing some of the old stories of cats that might have been your favorites and some cats that you might not have known because you're newer to the sanctuary. So it's been definitely going down a memory lane for me on the rescues and the lives over the years. So as I'm sitting here with Emery, before I get to cat updates, I want to kind of talk about something. As many of you are so wonderful that you guys share your generosity and support with several other sanctuaries, and we're so grateful for the collaboration. We mean that a lot. It takes all of us to do the work. And we were deeply saddened to hear about another sanctuary who had rescued an African serval with severe broken limbs and body, metabolic bone disease, and had passed away yesterday. And our hearts go out to our friends there. As you know, as sad as it is, it's not commonplace. We have seen so many African servals with severe metabolic bone disease that suffer and suffer in the private hands and at breeders. And I wish we could say that that was something that we hope that sanctuary and another sanctuary will ever have to face again, but it's not. I mean, look at what we had to go through with Chili and Ava and the Peppers and their metabolic bone disease. We'll share Scarlet over the next few days too. Serval Scarlet, you remember, had several fractures in her legs plated, her pelvis, her entire rib cage was broken and crushed. And she's still with us today, but she just had that fracture too. I know other sanctuaries have had several servals with metabolic bone disease that came to them. I know Cheryl, my friend, also had, when it was the SPCA or somebody contacted her about taking in one that was lame. She had them do x-rays, and that cat had several fractures through. It is heart-wrenching and it is infuriating that the small cat crisis continues. We know the Big Cat Public Safety Act was really about public safety, and it really helped animal welfare in the long run. But this small cat crisis is so much about cruelty and neglect. And that's why we here have been doing the small cat crisis education for several years. We have the toolkits that we have to ID servals versus savannas. We have the whole presentation that maybe they can put a link in here that I did on the small cat crisis, and especially the metabolic bone disease. I don't know if there's anything crueler than that. It is just hard for them to walk, to breathe, to move. It's just pain after pain. And I get so many calls from people that my Savannah is dragging its back feet, my serval's dragging the back feet. What do I do? And I'm like, they have metabolic bone disease. Even little Diva had metabolic bone disease, but luckily a vet caught that right away from that private owner and was able to reverse it with the proper diet. I get so frustrated that you can research how to buy a serval right off the internet and get it delivered to your house, but then none of these people research how to properly feed or care for them. Not that I want to have them in private hands, but when they do, it's just the animals that suffer. So my heart totally goes out to Emily and her team, and Tanya and Scott and Kellen. They do amazing work just like all of us do, and it's why I'm so grateful that you guys have been supporting us for so long and know that know the small cat crisis from what we've shared. We are building Catio Town, which you will hear even more about to address part of the small cat crisis. We're building habitats. It's why in our veterinary protocol whenever we get a serval surrendered to us, the first thing we do on intake exam is x-ray the entire body because of this. And so, you know, it's hard because talking to all of you, you guys know that this is cruelty, and you guys would support legislation to outlaw servals and other small cats as pets. But when it comes to legislation, getting animal welfare law passed is harder than getting public safety. And so we really have to prove, and what we do in our small cat crisis campaign is not only talk about the animal welfare issues, but the public safety issues. These cats, rabies vaccines is not recognized in them. The number of cats that are getting out and loose into our neighborhoods and our ecosystem. I mean, think of Bruno with 3 legs and Fiona that was found outside. They're going to affect the ecosystem. The last 3 or 4 calls we've gotten have been these cats that are in feral cat colonies and been at large for months to years. Think of when we get that into those cats into the wild population. This has so many ramifications, and that's why we're going to continue to advocate for the small cat crisis, for legislation. We're actually working on some sample legislation that can be at the city, county, and state level because we know a federal law is not coming anytime soon. But cats like this should not have to suffer. And the stories are heartbreaking, and the stories are not a few. We're seeing them over and over and over and over again. So whenever you see servals on TikTok and Instagram, remind yourself and remind them that is not right. And most of those that you see on those are adolescents. They're not even adults. And so it's just heartbreaking. So I'll get off my soapbox, but I just wanted to thank you guys for coming along with us on the small cat crisis, because we are one of the leaders in this, and we're so thankful that so many other sanctuaries and the Big Cat Sanctuary Alliance wants to bring this to the forefront, because it's kind of been the unsung issue because big cats were such the motivation for the Big Cat Public Safety Act, which is so great, but now it's time to focus on the small cat issues as well, especially now that we see suffering more than ever. And Catio Town is going to help address that capacity issue, and you know, we are going to continue to do the small cat crisis campaign, share it broadly. We do talks and presentations to animal control officers. We send our toolkits to them, anything we can do. So I just want our counterparts at the other sanctuaries to know they're not alone. We support them. We applaud them for all they're doing. We stand alongside them in their heartbreak, and we will work with them, and we will work as a team of sanctuaries to fight the injustice of the small cat crisis. So now let's go on a happier note. We have some cat updates, and I always disclose this because I know sponsors, just like I do, want all the information right away. And so sometimes you might hear it on the weekly wrap up first before you're able to get your sponsor email, because we don't have photos, or we might have not gotten photos. So we never try to not share with sponsor parents or first, but I also like to include what's happened in the last week in my weekly wrap up. So last week we talked about Bella the Bobcat, who unexpectedly became neurologic and was diagnosed with vestibular disease, but she's been getting better and better. She got full access to her outdoor yard this week, and she's doing great. She's coming up for treats. She's playing with enrichment. And so at 18, we're just happy she continues to bounce back. So that's awesome. A few small things. Cougar Langley, she's had this little, it looks like a hot spot on her chin. It's not tooth related, and we've been watching it and giving her a course of antibiotics, and that course of antibiotics didn't fix it. It doesn't seem to bug her, but we just don't, if there's any kind of infection, we don't want it to spread. And so I was talking with Dr. Campbell and going back in history about, I was going to say, Kita, a tiger we had the same thing. And so I said, let's go look at her file. And she had 4 bacteria in there, so she needed 4 different antibiotics. And so Dr. Campbell was just like, wow, it's amazing, first of all, that my head remembers back then, but also the kind of different things he sees. And so that was really interesting today. So hopefully that'll help. I had some really, really awesome news last night. 2 things that happened. One is the Bobcat and Sushi's yard have been done by the fence company. They did the walls and the ceilings. We still have a lot of detail work to do, like the skirting, patching double doors, but wow, to see 2 new enclosures and the compound fence that was moved done this early in the season because of our weather is awesome. But what was even more special about that is when I went out there to check on them about 6 o'clock last night as they're finishing up. Kiara and I walked down there and I could see that Anastasia, the cougar, was up on her skywalk, totally exposing herself and watching the fence company because they're working directly next to her, probably not even 10 feet away. And I went over there and talked to the fence company and they said, oh yeah, she comes out every night at about 5:30. We don't see her at all during the day when we're working, but about 5:30 she comes out and she was up on that platform. And then of course she was really interested in Kiara, and Kiara went over to say hello to her, and true to Anastasia's form, she was a predator. But I've never got to spend so much time with her outdoors and everything. So I'm hoping maybe with the new area next, we'll get to see her more. I do know we've had cougars before that have their own schedule and they don't come out till 5:30 or go into their big yard. So it just really warmed my heart, not only that she was out so much, but that these big group of burly guys really got to see the details of her and communicate the cats they were working next to. So that was awesome. We had a big move this week. Caretakers worked hard on reconditioning lions Aurora and Alana to go in their crates because they've been very hesitant in the past. And both of them walked into their crates and we were able to move them next door to Gino and Sophie. And cats always surprise me because Alana and Aurora have always been very dominant. Even when they were on a shared wall, we tried with Thor. They were all over and needed to go after Thor. They were very hesitant and very defensive when we brought them in. Gino and Sophie were appropriate. They were on a shared wall that has about an 8-foot hallway in, and they were very interested and they were pacing, trying to figure out who the neighbors were, but Aurora and Alana were just hunkered down, growling. But that was only for about less than an hour, and by then they were venturing their new yards. So it seems to be that that's going to calm down. Gino's just very excited to have all these girls around him. But then they got very upset by Taras in the bedroom. So I don't know. They don't like him at all. It doesn't seem they're fearful. It seems they're really irritated by him. So the caretakers put up a blind inside Pride Prairie so that they don't have so much stimulation. We're watching Gino because some of his neuro symptoms might flare up since he's had a lot of mental stimulation over last day. But we're hoping this move is the first of the big cat moves because Alana and Aurora have back to more space again. We'll be adding some more food chutes because now the setup is a little different inside so that they each get their food chutes. But I think it's going to take a week or so till they settle in, that's for sure. But that was really big news, and kudos to the staff because those girls are not easy to, I would say, not easy to motivate to doing what we want to do, but they did it with as least stress as they could cause the girls. We had caretakers that put up plywood and things and blinds, and it just was a team effort, and they all did wonderfully. And so we'll keep you posted on that. And if you're a sponsor parent of any of those, I'm sure we'll get photos soon. But right now the photos are pretty much the cats just walking along the fence line with each other. So there's not much to see. We had did another switch this morning. So, and this is a temporary switch, so I don't think sponsors will get an update. But Lilac Lissa has been having a limp, and I think I talked about it last week, where they think she's so really obsessed with food that she runs into the building and hits the bottom of the guillotine with her paws. What we're thinking. But the limp got so bad that we wanted to decide to switch her back to where Tonka used to live, which is where Nova lives now, because that was set up for an old man. That has more steps. That has no bar across the guillotine. It has a taller guillotine and 2 rooms, so that as when she kind of just runs down out of her excitement, that she's not hitting her front paws on anything. And so she's on some pain management, anti-inflammatories. The vet said it looks 50% better already. So we'll see what today went. So today they were able just to move her through a shared shift up on the wall, so she didn't have to be crated. And then Nova, they did like a half moon cattle panel shoot in the building so she could walk from her room to Alyssa's old room. And now the fun part is Nova is near Dash. They still have a hallway in between them, and my goal is to get them on a shared wall, but I'm really curious if Dash will be afraid of her or love her. So I'm excited to see how that goes, and then there'll be more big cat moves coming up. We also had a couple vet days. So we had Thor Sr., the little Savannah, had his wellness exam. And true to form, whenever we seem to sedate a Bengal or a Savannah for their wellness exams, they have dental disease. So 2 of his teeth were removed, and he was doing really great. And then Puma, who was moved last week, was due for his wellness exam too, and everything looked great there. Hi, Mr. Oreo. Oreo. The caretakers have been busy because its vaccines are due, so we do vaccines on a 3-year cycle. And so this is a great way too, when we train caretakers to learn how to immobilize, which is the sedation cocktails. We want them to practice the equipment first with vaccines because it's an expensive drug, and obviously we don't want any mistakes during immobilizations. So they've been using pulse syringes and things like that and doing really great getting the cats their vaccines. They also did preventative dewormer, which we do several times a year, as well as doing some fecal tests. And you guys have been amazing in donating to our first Miracle Match goal, which is Sushi's enhancements. So I'm really excited. Sushi probably won't be able to move until fall because we need grass to grow in those new enclosures. We need to build the water feature. But I do know because of your help, more of the boulders have been purchased. So not just the caves, but some big rocks that are going to be going in. And those hopefully will be coming next week. And so we still have our next Miracle Match goal number 2 starts on Tuesday next week. So if people still want to contribute to her enhancement for her habitat that's customized just for her species, a fishing cat, would be great. Let's see, what else do we have? So we are really still the staff is tearing down the habitat so that we can build Catio Town. We have about 35 crew days set up so that volunteers can come help not only with the teardown, but we do have a lot of the Bobcat work that has to be done. We do have another hybrid haven fencing that needs to go up around, since Catio's being built. We have a pavilion that needs to go up. We have bungalows that are coming for the Bobcats. We have so much on the docket this summer that we're so grateful for those crew days. And then the other great news is we applied for a AmeriCorps team of volunteers, and we were informed yesterday that we are awarded the volunteer team. And so we will have 7 to 8 people come here. They'll be here for 2 months, Monday through Friday, full time. And they've been with us a couple years ago I think we've had them for 3 years, and they were amazing with the work they do. They can do fencing, painting, wood working, helping build perches and platforms. And I can't tell you, it is going to be like having 20 more full-time staff, free of charge to TWS besides housing. We are providing housing. And then we talked about Bengal Sebastian Stan was getting adopted by one of our caretakers, and he went to his new home yesterday. So he is now with his forever human, which is so, so awesome. So a lot of busy work, but a lot of good work. We're setting out the schedule. We had another volunteer CVT vet tech come today that's onboarding. So that program is full. We got such a great feedback. And we hope we can give them an experience of a lifetime while they're also helping the rescue residents here. So again, thank you guys for being there. Miracle Match is strong and going. We have a lot of goals that we hope you help us meet before April 30th. And stay tuned during the next couple days and weeks as we share with you some more memories and special cats that have called the Wildcat Sanctuary home.